Hello, I'm Janine Crownover with Delphix, and today I'll be demonstrating the Delphix process for file tokenization and then re-identification of that file. And I'm going to start with using an EDI X12 271 file, and we will token the account numbers for both the provider and the member, and then we'll mask the remaining part of the file, and then we will re-identify the account number for the provider and for the member. So let's get started. I'm going to log out of my Delphix screen and log back in just to get a clean start. But this is the process we'll be following. For those of you who have been following my demonstrations, I've actually masked the 271 file, and I've also tokenized and re-identified a table. So now it's going to be the file that we're going to tokenize and re-identify. I've had several requests for that. So this screen should look familiar, but for those who are just starting and maybe having not actually followed any of the others, this is going to actually begin from the beginning. So you shouldn't have any problem following the process for masking an EDI file if you've never even seen any of my other demonstrations. So here we go. If you notice the environments, and as always, we have to add a new environment. And this new environment is going to specifically be the token. So we have the main file target and source, so now we're going to have a token that the purpose will be to tokenize and re-identify. So let's get that added. So we're going to put it under the main. Following that concept, we'll say token EDI, and then the purpose will be to tokenize and then to re-identify. And we'll just save that. Within that, though, now that we actually have our environment, we're going to have to make a connector. So just like always in the others, we're going to take a connector. Now the difference between tokenizing and then masking these files is in the tokenization, we're actually going to mask in place when that time comes up. So let's go ahead and create a connector. My file is actually on the Linux server. But first, let's go. It's going to be a delimited file. The connection name is going to be TokenEDI 271. The connection mode is SFTP. The servers will be 10.0.1.30, and the port 22 is an SFTP. I like to put the entire path in anything I do, actually. Just easier for me. And then see if I get this typed right. It's a long SFTP base, username, my Delphix user, and then my Delphix password. Let me test it, make sure I typed it correctly. Got it. Okay, and we'll save. So that's going to allow me then to actually connect to the file. But before that, I can actually connect to the file. I need to edit and create an actual file. We did this before with the 271 for the file format. So I'm going to create a new file format, and I'm going to call this token, type in there, token file 271, type correctly. File format will be delimited, and then we'll just submit that. Very similar to what we have here, the EDI, but now we'll have a token file 271. That allows me then to identify this differently because the EDI 271 format is in place. It's going to mask the fields that we've already identified. So I want to create one specifically that I'm going to token. I'm not going to token all the fields. I'm just going to token enough of the information so that I can get back to the original values. And this can happen oftentimes when you're having business partners, you're a healthcare organization, you extract some data and you need to send it over to your healthcare partner and they need to make some decisions based on that, but you want to mask the sensitive information of the individuals and the members. So they'll make the business review, send back their recommendations, still not knowing who this is, and then it allows your organization to then re-identify and then make any kind of appropriate changes. So that's just one example of why that might be necessary. So we have the token. So now I'm going to need to create the rule set, and I will build the entire rule set like I would from the beginning. But there are a lot of accelerators, but again, I want someone who's not used the 271 file yet to start from the beginning. So for those who understand this concept, certainly fast forward the video. So I'm going to call this rule set EDI token. It's fine. Choose my connector, and there's that file. And I'll show you that file when we get closer to it. I'll log into that server so you can see the before and after from the tokenization. Then, of course, we need to edit the file. Very typical edit. And this is going to be the file format's delimited, or the token that we've already defined, and the record will be custom. And then, of course, the custom end of the field will be the tilde and the /r/n. And the limiter on the EDI file is *7. So you have to be familiar with the files themselves. Now, we do offer, the Delphix Services does offer some accelerators where these are already pre-built, but for the most part, if you have an ETL team that's generally loading these types of files, they'll understand the format. That's going to leave us with an inventory that we haven't defined. So we'll have to go to those record types, and we know what those record types are. NM1 underscore for the provider. There are two fields that are going to identify that. One being the NM1 in position 1, and then the PR in the position 2. Now again, we're going to be able to import the definitions. We'll go with the PR header and save, and you'll see it riddle through, and you'll have all these different ASCII identifiers. For those of you who have seen the first build of the 271 for masking only, very similar. So I'm going to go ahead and get through all of these. Add my record. I'm going to call this NM1IL for the individual. It's going to be 2 fields. NM1, first position, and IL for the second position. Import the file. Now these, and I haven't shown you this, but this is just, all this is the list of what we're going to call each one of these fields. Simple. And I'll show you that file momentarily. Then we have another record type. I'm going to call this DMG. That's where the date of birth is. Those are generally positional. Those are generally considered sensitive in nature. Birth information. And we'll go with the birth here. Open that. Save. And then I have 2 more, and we'll be done here. The next one, and what I'm adding are usually fields, so I really could have stopped now because I'm only going to, for this purpose, I'm only going to be tokenizing the actual account numbers. And what I'm importing now doesn't really have any reference to those account numbers, but I'm just showing you again for those who haven't seen this type of demo before. And then one more and we'll be finished. Final record type. Going to be the N4 field, N4, and position 1. Oh, better double check that I have those positions identified, or it will fail. And save that. So double check to make sure. Position 1, and position 1. I've forgotten to put the position in there, and of course it fails, and I don't know why. So this is now, we now have the full records defined. And there are accelerators. Once it's defined, you can export and import, so you don't have to rebuild every single time. But this is what we're looking at in terms of the 271 file for this demonstration. So next thing I want to do is, I know I'm interested in the identification code in masking that. We're going to give that a token, account number token. Let's get you. And account number will be the account token, and we'll save that one. And we'll do the same thing for the user, which is pretty much the patient information. We'll give it also an account number and an account tokenization, and then we'll save that. So that gives us those 2. The rest we're not going to bother with. But again, the process is I'm going to tokenize these, mask in place, and then I'll mask all the remaining fields that I feel are sensitive in nature, and that'll give me token and masking at the same time. Very similar process that we do when we mask tables. We have 2 masking jobs, one specifically for the token, and then one for the remaining of it. So we're set there. Let's go on to the environments, and let's go ahead and build our our jobs, our masking jobs. So we're going to be able to tokenize. Right? We're going to call this TokenEDI. And this is in place, so it's just going to update what we have there and only update those account fields. The rule set we're choosing is this EDI token, and that's all we do. We can put comments if we want, and then we're going to save that. And then we'll also create the re-identify job as well. So I'll be able to show you that one, which is very similar. Re-ID the file, the EDI, we'll call this EDI. And then the rule set will be that token because it's going to reverse. And we'll go ahead and save that. So now we have token EDI and the re-identify EDI. And then let me show you those files before we get started. So this is PWD for this was the location, the home, Delphix, SFTP base. And if I view the file, you will see that there is on the PR line 1, there's some provider license number, and then we also have the NM1 for the individual, and that is maybe their member ID. So that is what we're actually going to show the tokenization for. And then let me log in and log out of my masking engine, or log out, log back into my masking engine. And then we'll show you how this works. So we'll go to our tokenization job. We will run to tokenize this. And if I've done everything correctly, it will be successful. And it shows that. Go to my Delphix lab. And let's view that file. And you will see where the file is now tokenized, the N1PR, that the ID for the provider has been tokenized, and the ID for the individual has also been tokenized. So the next part, Jennifer Meacham, these still need to be masked, right? If you're going to send this file across the wire to a partner. So let's see how that, and that is going to be the masking we've already set up. Right? So if you look here, the source file I now have is my connector, right? Will be the EDI source for the 271, and I'll modify that and I'll show you. It's pointing to that source file that we just tokenized. Right? There are some jobs associated to that tokenizing that file, mask the EDI 271. So let's run it, and what it's going to do is it's actually, well, I'll show you the masking job. It's going to read that, or the rule set. Sorry, back over there. Let's show you the masking job, and it's going to be on the fly, which means it's going to read from that source and it's going to place it on that target location, which is, in this case, happens to be a Windows server. So let's go ahead and run that file. And then we'll go to my Delphix lab, and I do need to open my Windows target. And there it is. So let's go, that's the target dev. So let's go to 271, and there's a little different. Edit this file. And then as you can see, the tokenization is there, and then Jennifer Meacham has now been changed to Rosina Cormack. If you can see my screen, it is there, and then that tokenization is still there. So we've accomplished that. Now what we want to be able to do is to go ahead and then re-identify that file. And now I can do two things. I can FTP this file back over into that general location. That is not what I'm going to do for this demonstration. For this demonstration, I'm just going to re-identify the existing file that has Rosina Cormack, still Jennifer Meacham, and just for brevity purposes only. So in that case, I would come back here. I would go back to my environments. I would pick my tokenize, right? Assuming I have placed that file back in the location, I'll be able to re-identify that file in my Delph there, and then I would ls-ltr, and then I'll see that the file has actually been placed back to its original, and I can view the 271.txt, and you'll see that now my provider information account has been replaced to the original, and so has the Jennifer Meacham. Now again, this file is, I didn't move the file, but I would have really just sent that file back into the same location. And that's pretty much the demo I have for today. So any questions, please email me at janine.crownover@delphix.com. Thanks a lot.